Okay, so welcome to our fourth video regarding unit testing. In the previous three videos, we started with setting up the basics of unit testing. Then we've done testing which were connected to the database. And in the third video, we changed the way we test. Instead of using existing data in the database, we started using mock data that we are creating on the fly. That gave us the benefit of being able to tests that will be consistent, but still have all of the advantages of an actual database and all of the benefits of using direct SQLs, views, and everything around that. Now, what I want to do in this video is try to put it all in the context of making an actual change to the application. Okay, the tests that we've done here are actually testing different scenarios of what the result should be. Okay, and calculates that accordingly. It makes sure that if we have one order with a unit price of 10, quantity of 5, it will return 50. It will make sure that it will take care of several orders and or having a discount. All of these are done, I usually do them when I'm about to make a change to a code that is not tested. I start by writing several tests that make sure how the code is running right now, so I know that later when I start making changes to it, it will still run properly. Now the change that I want to do in this case, I want to, this program or this class has an inner class that calculates the total. And it uses order total plus unit price times quantity minus discount. And when I look for that pattern in the code, that exists many, many times. Okay, if I try to find it in the entire solution, I will see several occurrences of this function. And that's bad, because if I ever need to change these functions, I'll need to change it in all of these 5 places. Okay, so the goal here is to remove this duplicity. Okay, so take it away and do it with tests that make sure they haven't broken anything. So just before we start, let's review the current test. We can see that when there are no order details, the value is 0. We can see that when there is one order with clear or unit price and quantity, there is the value of 50. And when there's a discount, there's a value of 43. I would like to make another test to make sure that it's all accumulated correctly. So more than one order, or no, actually more than one order detail will be summed. Okay, so to do that, I will say test method with 2 products. Okay, and I can insert 2 rows here, and I will make the discount 7, so this should be 86. Okay, now I know that this will run on primary key violation because the primary key of this test is order ID and product ID, so I'll add another product ID here. Cool, we'll build it. See that we have one more test. All the tests are running automatically because this icon is checked. And we can see that our test is running, operating, doing anything. Okay, something is not running as we want it to run. Let's see if we get any error in the order, in this. Nothing. Okay, let's cancel the tests and let's start debugging. I was actually getting stuck on this test. Okay, let's run it again. We got a welcome message back. That was our problem, because earlier when we talked, we have commented out that I'm running in test mode, which is a good time to emphasize again. Everything that you have in the on start of your application will run when you run those tests, and we want to disable it in tests, so we added this field to the application and we run it. So, hey, cool. Let's see what goes on right now. All of the tests are running and we are happy with that. So now that we know that we have all of these 4 tests that verify the writing to the CSV is done correctly, we can go and start changing it without breaking anything. So let's first of all commit everything to the version control tool so we can review the change. Now in this subtask there is this piece of code, order detail, unit price, quantity, discount. Okay. A bit about refactoring. We can see quite interesting rule here. We can see that it's always doing order detail dot something. So when you read about refactoring, there's something called code smell, which means when you do x dot times x dot minus x dot, it should be in x. It shouldn't be here. Okay. So what I will do now, I will go to the order details entity, and I will go to models, order details, put it side by side here so we can enjoy what we're doing, and I can add a method here, get line total, and I will copy it from here, return unit price times quantity minus discount. Okay, so now in my code, instead of saying order total plus all of this, I can say get line total. Okay, I'll go back to our tests, I'll run all our tests, and it runs perfectly. Now I know that I'm safe. I can make this change and know that I'm safe because I have tests that are testing, at least 4 in our case. And if I'll break it, let's say times discount divided by 100, because maybe I'm thinking that it should be a percentage, I'll run my tests again, and I will see that they will fail. Okay, 3 of the 4 tests fails, all the ones that were concerning with discount. Okay, so this is an example of a practical way for me to use tests. Okay, now just again to wrap this up and make this real life like I would use it in real life, I will then go throughout my code, and whenever I've used this expression that we have over here, I will change it to use the method that we created right now, making our code safer to run. Since this method is already tested, I can make this change without worrying about anything. But I can know now that in the future, if at one point I need to change it, it will be very simple. Because then I will only need to change it in one place.
So before refactoring the code, you actually test the code. Make sure that while refactoring you will have no problems or issues, or at least you will find those issues and problems.
Correct. Before I write my test, I will write my code, or before I make changes to existing codes that I don't know, I don't trust, or just any piece of code because I don't trust any piece of code, I will create a few tests to make sure that it works properly, and then I'll start making changes. I look at it as a bit like scaffolding. You know, when you're building a building, you create some kind of things to support it. This is the supporting. The test is the support for everything. It's kind of the bones in the body.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, create the right bones to hold everything, and then I'll replace what I need to replace around it, and I'll keep the bones because they'll keep it all sustainable for future use. And if we look at the changes now, we can see that our code just became easier to read. Okay, we just removed a lot of code and made it consistent. So all of the files that have changed to remove these like 100 characters with these 15 lines of characters that are easier to use and easier to follow. And while we've done that, and we're happy with that, at least I am, I want to show you how much more powerful it can be. Okay, because now it's been powerful and fun, and we like it a lot, but still, there's many times when I can see, or if you look at everywhere that this is used, final references, we can see that in 3 cases it is added to a total. Okay, in 2 cases it's just shown, in 3 cases it is added to a total. And in 2 of those cases, it's a subtask that all it does is take it and create a total for it. Okay, this entire subtask is only responsible for getting the total. Okay, and the same one will happen over here as well. Let's see. Not this one, this one. We have a subtask that is in charge only for collecting the total. Okay, lots and lots and lots of code. So let's change that now that we can. And we want to get the total for an order. Okay, now today we have like two subclasses. In Magic it would be two subtasks, and the right thing to do would be to create another program and call it, which is nice and fun, but people don't do that as often as they should have. Now, I think in different terms. I think it should be a method in the orders entity. The order should have its own get total. Okay, so let's get back again to our testable code. Okay, and let's say that we're going to go to the orders entity. Okay, and have a method for it, get total. Okay, and I'll start with the very basic implementation saying new order details. Okay, number total equals 0. Yeah, let's actually return a number. Okay, and I will do a business process that runs on this order detail, and I will say that it filters on od.order ID is equal to this.order ID. Okay, and bp for each row total plus equals od.getLine total, and return total. Okay, now to test it, I can just test it on its own, or I can run the CSV code that we wrote earlier. Okay, I'll go to our order CSV. I'll go to our order CSV, eliminate the entire calculate total for order, just delete it. Okay, and instead of saying this, I will just update the local columns that we had for the total, which was called order total. So I'll say order total dot value equals, I'm currently looking at the orders table, get total. Okay, now if I haven't broken anything, which I hope that I didn't, it will run. Okay, now I've just deleted hundreds of lines of code and I can do it safely because I have the tests that I can run and trust. Now, if I simulate a common mistake that I usually do when I do this refactoring, I usually forget to write the where. I don't know why, it's kind of a bug in my brain. So that's great because when I run the tests, I will get that feedback immediately. I will not need to wait for some tester to QA in a week or two or whatever and get the problem. I would get this test immediately, except I didn't get it now, which is kind of interesting enough to debug and look into. I'm curious. Okay, so let's run the test again, see what we get. If we get the same result, I'm just rebuilding anything in the hopes that I've done some build error, which I haven't. So that is kind of interesting. Let's see what's going on. Our business process is running for each line in order detail. Let's put a breakpoint here, and put a breakpoint here, and run one of our tests. Let's do it the one with the 2 products per test. And debug, select the test. Okay, so we reach our program. The total is 0. Okay, we step inside, so the total is 0, but the order detail that we're looking at, okay, has a quantity of 5, order ID of 1, cool. The next one is quantity of product ID 1 and quantity 5, and it's finished. And I have no idea why it finished at this point, because it didn't get a where, and it should have run on all of the order details the way I think of it, right?
Right.
Okay, let's have a look at the order details table and see what's going on. I have a feeling that maybe by mistake we deleted something previously that we shouldn't have deleted. That's the only orders in the order details table. Now this indicates that we've done something wrong earlier, and I kind of have a feeling that I know what it is, and it's a good time to see. Delete order ID where order ID is equal to 1. Yes, over here. We've done the wrong filter for the order detail delete in the setup code. Okay? When we say delete from a column that is not there, it's actually done a filter of 1 equals to 1 because it's expecting it to be happening in memory. Difficult, terrible, terrible bug. Let's fix it by adding OD over here. And now the test will not delete our entire database as they've done before. Very important to have database backups. We'll have to go and look where mine is. And in the meantime, let's add a few more order details just to orders. And this order, yes, it has all of those checks in it, which we care for a lot right now. And what is under a valid required date. Cool. We'll add a few products to this one. Again, remember, our goal here is to show that when we don't filter, we get wrong results. And through that, we found a huge bug in our test, which is cool and fun. Again, this is a true sign of what happens when you do demos on the fly, or real demos without simulating unrealistic scenarios. You will run into these kind of problems when you do tests. That's the fun of it. So we can see now that these tests are failing, and the reason they are failing is because we're not filtering on the right order. So in the orders table, we just change it like this and run it. Cool. So now I know that I can go and search for the rest of the places in the code where this was used and remove them as well. Okay, so whenever we had a total plus equals something, like we have over here in the original screen that we have, we can delete it as well. And when it was called, simply update the values it was looking for. Okay, it was updating the v total or total in the last warning. Just a second, let's check what it was actually updating. V total, cool. So we'll go here and say v total is equal to orders.get total. Okay, so we were actually able to delete hundreds of lines of code just by making this nice little change and make our code better and make it all testable. It's much easier and safer to make changes while you test. Okay, it makes your lives better. I'm going to touch base on a few more things just to wrap this all up and then make a significant change to play with it. So all of our tests so far, testing process as a whole, in its entirety. Okay, and that's good and important, and they are called integration tests. But sometimes you might want to make even simpler tests, to just test one simple thing. Okay, over here we are testing that a CSV file is being created and a lot of things are being created and blah 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 blah. Sometimes I just want to test that the getLineTotal method that we've created in the orders detail table. Let's go and have a look at that. I want to go and test that the getLineTotal here actually operates as I expect it to do. So I will create just tests for that. And I can create them in this class or in a different class. Yeah, I'll do it in this one. Let's see if it works. Test method. Test basic getLineTotal. Okay, and I can test it without a database. I can say od equals new Northwind models order detail. Say od.unit price equals to 10, od.quantity is equal to 5, then od.getTotal should be 50, and then od.discount equals 7, then od.getLineTotal should be 43. Okay, this is a good test, and this is what actually is regarded as a unit test because it makes a very localized test. It tests just one thing and tests it good, and we can rely on it if it works all the derivatives of it will work as well. Okay, so I would mix and match. I would start by creating these big tests before I come into the code, like the scaffoldings that I need. And as I make the changes, I will make the smaller tests to reflect those changes. I think that's it for this video. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So I think I can think of only one more video in this series, which we're going to make some more dramatic change here and give even a little trick, but we'll do that later. So I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to send us questions and emails and feedbacks. It's always interesting to see how does this relate outside, and see you in the next video.
Thank you.